Welcome to the People of Rochester podcast. Here we share the stories of people who work hard every day to help create an environment of hospitality, hope, healing, creativity, and excitement that this city thrives on. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're back. Episode 2.
Is it episode 2?
It is episode 2. We finally did it. We finally made it. Today we are welcoming a true Rochester native. I kind of wanted to give him a little bit of an introduction before we started here. He's a graduate of Mayo High School, class of 99.
Got it.
He's the husband to beautiful Kristen Williams for almost 15 years. We figured that out. Father to 3 beautiful children. In the past, he's worked as a director of admissions for a local college here, but most recently, he's been in real estate for up to close to 5 years. So
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. His name is Chris Williams.
Yeah. How about that? That's my first podcast.
The audience is going crazy.
Yeah, the house is falling down. This place is out of control.
Chris Williams is here.
Yeah, people are chanting on the streets.
Start the intro music. Let's go.
Yeah, let's turn it up. Turn it up.
We're just really excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? It's been so long. I mean, we're just like, I don't even know what to say anymore.
Me neither. Kind of what I really want you to talk about is maybe kind of growing up in Rochester and what that was like.
Of course.
And then we can kind of get into what you do and how you've been serving our community for so long.
Absolutely. So, growing up in Rochester, I went to Longfellow on the southeast side of Rochester. Fond memories of Longfellow for sure. And even I still follow some of my teachers on Facebook.
Oh, fun.
Which has been really funny to have some of them reaching out to me recently when I do, Facebook Lives or whatever. Who knows? But
I bet they're like, "Oh, that's Chris."
Well, it's funny. I was doing a Facebook Live and talking. I was reminded of a what do you call it when you bury a letter to yourself?
Oh, like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Time capsule.
We buried a time capsule at the school, and while I was live, I was like, "Hey, Mr. Doctor," his name was Mr. Doctor. "Do you remember burying a time capsule?" He's like, "Yeah, I do, and I know where it is."
No.
How funny is that?
Let's dig it up.
Yeah, there needs to be a live video or even get KTTC out there and dig this thing up. Because I'm sure when they did, it's like, when you guys turn 15, we'll dig it up, or whatever age it is. Well, we're there.
Yeah.
Let's
We've
dig that thing
achieved
up.
it.
I want to see my horrible handwriting, and whatever I dreamed I would be when I was fill in the blank age, elementary school. But anyway, so Longfellow kid. I went to Willow Creek after that, and then Mayo High School after that. My father was a lender. He was a banker at Home Federal.
Oh, wow.
Crossroads.
Ooh,
Home Federal Crossroads.
Still there.
Yeah, still there, right by Outback Steakhouse, right in that area. But what's funny is that was my first job in Rochester, picking weeds at Home Federal Bank.
That's awesome.
The president of the bank, George, incredible guy, he would have us come up after we were done picking weeds, and he'd give us ice cold glass bottles of pop, up in the break room where the employees got to be.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You were really living it up.
When you're a kid and after you work, you're going to get a bottle of sugar.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is the greatest thing ever.
I'll pick as many weeds as you
This is cloud 9,
So you were basically working your dream job then?
That was
at that time.
That was it.
You made it.
Yeah, I had arrived at that point.
That's so fun. It's a good perspective, though.
Yeah. Anyway, but my father ended up getting sick and passing of brain cancer when we were young.
Oh wow! I'm so sorry.
My family, I think of my childhood. It definitely it's hard to know where to start.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, I had 2 different childhoods.
Absolutely.
And so after Dad passed, Mom stayed a single mother with 3 children.
Wow.
So she made a lot of sacrifices in order to.
That really grows you
to
too.
raise us children, and it's when I think back on growing up in Rochester, my perspective was really different than some, you know. So, but good.
Yeah.
What type of kid were you?
Oh boy, honestly, I have no clue. I honestly have no. I admire watching my son, because it's like, was I like that? I don't know. I haven't done a good job asking mom, what was I like? I'm sure I was very annoying. I do have some memories of, and I now understand, of mom getting after me because it's like, can you just give me some space? Where it's like, anywhere mom goes, you kind of follow and, you're talking and asking questions and whatever else. So I experience that every day now. So I understand that. But, I had a great neighbor. His name was Chris Oliver. He was about my age. He was 2 years younger, and then he had a sister which was 2 years younger than my younger sister, and we were besties. So, we would play a lot of catch. We'd play football, we'd play baseball. After the Vikings would lose, they would win too, but I remember very specifically going in the backyard and kicking the dirt for about 30 minutes to an hour, complaining about the loss. This is young.
Really?
This is young.
So this started young, because I know
the
you're
Vikings thing. It's a lifelong journey. Okay, and so yeah, I'd call him with the old rotary dial phone. You had it by heart. You'd do it as fast as you could.
Yep.
Wait for it to come back, and then I'd say, you wanna go throw the football around. If they won, it'd be like, you want to go throw the football around, like, let's go.
Yeah.
But if they lost, we're like, I'll go outside and throw it. And so we'd always go out and commiserate for a while, and then want to play football. Yeah. So that was kind of the thing.
You guys were there for each other, though,
Oh, and if there was a video camera, I was a big kid, as I'm a big guy now. He was a little kid. Oh. And we would play tackle football one-on-one.
Yeah.
So he would outrace me, and I would out-muscle him.
That's awesome.
So we had touchdown after touchdown after touchdown in the backyard. So it was great. Probably when I think of my childhood, I think of, mostly relationships that I had, more so like what kind of a kid I was, who I spent my time with. And it was good.
Was that probably the same for high school then, too?
High school is a whole different game,
Yeah.
You're really discovering yourself and who you are and who your people are. And I was never one to go, these are my people. Mm-hmm. That really hasn't changed, So
I was going to say, I think you're like that as well,
even
it's not
now.
Like
I'm this guy, like I'm a jock,
mm-hmm.
Or I'm a musician or whatever. Like I dabbled in everything in a lot of ways. And so it's like, I played football. I played intramural basketball. I was in choir. I was in show choir. I had some hobbies. So I never really claimed a group.
Mm-hmm.
Bittersweet. If you have a group, you got your people.
Right.
If you spread out, you have a lot of people. They're just not as deep of relationships often.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But no, I enjoyed high school. Oh, audiovisual, just like Bucky. Bring Bucky into the story here. I was a Spartan Scene guy in school.
Is that
as
like
well.
the broadcast, like they do it in the morning?
We did the live broadcast for the school, and in the they would actually do it at like what do you call it? That hour.
Yeah.
What is
I know
it?
what hour you're
What
talking about.
the hour?
Do you know what the hour
The hour.
Yeah, it's the break.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
all
where
right.
they'd have their like pep fests and all that stuff where
Yep.
it's like there's a 15-minute, 30-minute
Yeah.
common hour basically where you can do homework or catch up with stuff. But anyway, people watching this podcast, comment below, what that's called. You're all sitting there, come on, it's this, it's that. Anyway,
Yeah, I want to know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So, we would do it during that time, and we did some daring. Like, we were YouTube before YouTube was a thing. We'd make quirky videos to get, they'd give us one assignment like, hey, prom is coming up, make sure the school knows about it. So we'd make a video about prom, and it was like a variety show. You never knew what you were going to get.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's fun, though.
we couldn't get away with some of the stuff we did now.
Really?
Oh, a fact.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
There was one where the school was blown up.
Oh no.
Yeah, like
In the video.
Oh
God.
Yeah. Well, it was like funny, you know. It was
You
like,
would definitely be getting like a visit to your
oh my
house if that
gosh,
happened today.
We're out of
if not
time.
more.
Everybody run, or something silly like that. And then you screen out,
Those are the good old
and
days.
you like edited the video blowing up the school blowing up Mayo High School.
Oh,
I'd be arrested. Like, hey, we got some questions for you. We think that.
Oh my
You might need to go see somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be rushed to the
I mean, I
counselor.
also remember there was a time we blew up a bridge. We fake blew up a bridge, of course.
Yeah.
And we pretended like the bridge had collapsed, and
Your creativity was just free.
yeah, let's just go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stupid stuff you see now on
Yeah.
TikTok and whatever else. People are just having fun.
Yeah.
They're letting their guard down.
Yeah.
So, we've lived that life. So, yeah. Anyway, I was all over the place.
So you're saying you'd probably be like a TikTok star or something when you're probably back in
Oh, if I was young?
back in high school, yeah. You guys would probably be like,
I don't know. It's a good question.
maybe. I always like to think about what it would be like if back then everyone had the stuff we
Times
have
have
now.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to explain to my son, 5 years old, the difference between a game reality and reality
Oh.
yesterday.
Isn't that weird? You never thought you'd have that conversation.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah, this phone, I didn't have this when I was growing up. What? Like, that's a new thing?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have context about it. So, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah.
If you were to think of a place in Rochester, what stands out as like a place where memories and just, some Rochester place stories that come to mind? Especially growing up here, I imagine there's...
Yeah. Well, boy, let's see. Rochester place stories. Oftentimes when I think of place stories, I think of restaurants, because that's where you're having community together with people. And so Mr. Pizza has always been a place, or...
Especially over by Mayo, too. I'm sure it was like lunch break, senior...
Oh, absolutely. As a Mayo student, we, as upperclassmen, we had the ability to leave campus. And I know they've changed the rules off and on over the years with that. But, if you were, I think, 10th grade, you could leave campus for lunch, and then I was lucky because my 11th grade year, they turned off the ability for 10th graders to go.
Ooh,
because they were just a little too young, if I'm not mistaken. And so anyway, I know my junior, senior year for sure. And so we would, if you had a car, great. For those of you who know me for a long time, I had a Car Renault. You'll have to look it up.
I didn't know
posted
that.
in the comments.
I feel like I've known you for a long time, but I didn't know that.
Oh, Car. Oh, my God.
Car.
Oh, yeah. That car was something. You can't buy a car like that anymore. I mean, it's considered a classic, but it's a $50. I bought it for $50.
What?
And it was French, the car, Car.
Okay.
And it was tiny. It's like a clown car. There's one, oh, Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah.
It's an old show.
Been a while,
it's
yeah.
It's the same car. That's the car that's in there. And so, anyway, it was
You're
great.
looking it up.
I'm looking it up.
Oh,
I'm looking it
it's
up.
so
I can't
cool.
continue the conversation.
Yeah, it had 4 gears stick, and it was just
How many people could you fit?
Well, that's. I'm glad you asked that question, because when you're young, you do stupid things, So we at one time had
Where did you find the car?
another friend of mine had bought it and fixed it up with his dad as a project.
Okay.
And he was getting a new Jeep Wrangler.
Oh my gosh.
So in high school to have a Jeep Wrangler, that's a big deal. You're like a big wig. So he's like, I don't need this thing anymore.
What color was it?
So I embraced it. You'll see it on there. It's like a bronze brown. I mean, it's one of the first ones that you see. It's almost identical model.
Oh my gosh.
It's beautiful.
It is. It really is.
You see it.
Yeah. No,
I took a senior picture in my car, by the way.
Oh my
And
gosh.
You know how people...
That's what it's called, car.
Car. Yeah, Renault.
Can't just call it car. It's
No, car.
car.
So...
Make sure that's the right one. Show that. Is that the right one?
Is
What's
this the
funny
right
is
one?
a lot of people take... No, that's not the right
Okay,
one.
you
That
search
was
it.
the orange one. That's cool.
We'll find
Mine
the right color.
is... It's not identical, but it's very, very close.
Okay.
It's this one here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Very close.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry for everybody not able to see this. It's
Nah, we'll figure out a way to share it. It's way too good.
So a lot of people take photos
It's way
with
too good.
their
I don't know if they can
muscle
see it.
cars, and I thought, well, how funny would it be if I took my senior photo
Yeah.
with my lake car and I'm standing outside of the sunroof? Yeah, it's great.
That's so funny. Are those pictures out there?
I have one somewhere. I'd have to dig it up.
Okay. That's so good.
Good old lake car. So
Did it
there
actually
was one
say
time.
lake car
Oh,
on
right
it?
on the side.
Nice.
Yeah, in big font.
There's the lake car.
That's
Lake
the best.
car. What's funny is, so at church, one time we did fill the car with everyone in the youth group, and it literally looked like a clown car.
Oh my gosh.
So
I bet.
we had the trunk open. People are sitting in the back. People, probably 2 or 3 standing out of the sunroof. 3 in the back seat. 1 in the driver. 1 in the passenger. So I would guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably about 10 people
Oh my gosh.
in that thing. I don't know how we didn't bottom out or ruin.
Right, yeah.
And we were going fast. We were just kind of trucking around the church parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
But silly, just to be a teen again. I mean, if I saw my kid doing that, I'd be like, I'd lock it down.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna fall off, break their neck, and then, your life's gonna be ruined.
But so would the fun. The fun
Yeah.
would also
Well, then you can't tell the story on People of Rochester podcast when
Exactly.
you're 39 years old. So you got, you only live once.
That's right.
So yeah, Mr. Pizza. That's how we got there.
Yeah,
It's a good spot.
I'm a dangerous.
It's a
you
good
don't wanna
spot.
Talk to me. I'll just
No, I love it.
squirrel.
That's why we have you on here. Chris.
Squirrel. So history, yeah. I mean, obviously, you think of the fair, Olmsted County Fair,
Yeah.
which hasn't changed really since I was a child.
No, you're right.
I mean, it
Same
feels
deal.
the same.
Even the same people, I
yeah.
swear.
Oh,
Really?
yeah. All the people trying to steal my money, at the games are the same. They're the kids of the dads of
Yeah.
who knows. No, it's changed a little bit. There's definitely been some improvements to the buildings and that common space there. But the environment feels so much the same, But yeah, I think of Mr. Pizza, and we used to have all of our all the sports pictures up because
Yeah, I
the owners
remember
were
that.
male parents.
Yeah.
So it was fun to go in there and see your pictures in there with the teams, and I mean, I don't know, Ground Round. You remember Ground Round?
Well, that was right by Home Federal,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
There was one of the places you could throw peanuts on the ground, and it was chaos. People, I mean, I don't
Yep.
know. They had peanuts everywhere. Now in COVID, you couldn't pull that off, but it was just.
Yeah, that was
the thing.
customary. You
That
just
was
throw
the-
your
you
peanuts
throw
on
'em
the
on the
ground,
ground.
and yep,
And if you go in there and there's peanuts all over the ground, so what? Just add to the party.
just walk at them.
Yeah, that was the thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's actually a tough question for me. It's hard to come up with, tangibles.
What about
but,
downtown? Was there?
Back then there, at least to my knowledge, and maybe my parents just stayed out of the downtown. It's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot going on downtown Roch. Unless you were going to one of the 3 restaurants down here.
Red Lobster.
Yeah, Red Lobster, or the pizza joint on the corner,
Bilott's.
Bilott's.
Oh, I
Yeah.
miss Pilates.
R.I.P., right?
Pilates.
And then that's about it. There wasn't a lot.
Mhm.
Michael's, which my parents are bringing us to Michael's.
Right. Did you ever
So-
go to the Galleria?
Oh, thank you. Oh, we spent hours.
Yes.
So the
Galleria
Galleria
is
was great. So I was really fortunate. I attended church growing up, and so I was able to go to a lot of group events with other kids from other churches, and they actually had at least one event a year in Rochester, sometimes 2. And one of them was at the Galleria. They'd rent it out. And so it was one of the few times as young kids where we were basically given the A-OK to just go. And so we're downtown Rochester, and we're going to Ladin's Castle. We are walking through all the skyways, all the subways. We're checking the place out. And that freedom as a young kid is so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spent a lot of hours
Yep.
in the Galleria, and many people would never know, the 3rd level was a theater. So every now and then we'd go to that theater. There was a theater in the parking lot of Apache Mall, you know, which is torn down. So we used to go to that one. I mean, most of the theaters I grew up going to have been torn down. Majority. The one near TJ Maxx now, you know, where there's like a nail salon. That was a theater.
Right.
All of those. So yeah, all of my theater memories, those are all gone. Yeah, they're long gone.
There was one on North Broadway too. I can't remember the name of it, but
yeah. Oh yeah, and that one's gone too.
Yep.
Yeah, that one turned into the.
Why?
That one turned into like the discount theater place where you could get a theater in the later days
for $5 instead of 10 or whatever.
Yeah, it's great, and so we would always go there. I've been frugal for a long time of my life. People who know me best know you are so cheap, Chris. So, yeah, Rochester. I mean, 1 year of my 39 years, I have not lived in Rochester. I lived in Indianapolis for 1 year, Indianapolis, Indiana, and so yeah, I've been able to see the community and experience its changes and. You know, in a lot of ways, we all know, you know, as natives, I kicked this beautiful fancy table here. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up. Anyway, those of us who lived here, it's always had that small town feel, even though it's continued to grow, you know, to over 130,000 people-ish, give or take, right? So, anyway, it's great. It's a great community.
Yeah. So what about the city, I guess, as then growing up? And did you go to where did you go to college?
I went to Crossroads College here in town.
Oh, that's right. You did go to Crossroads.
I was a student there. That's where I met my wife.
And so after going there, and I do have more questions about that too, but kind of what made you decide to stay in Rochester?
Oh,
was it just kind of a no-brainer?
Well, I didn't.
Or? Oh, that's right. So is that when you left for Indianapolis?
So, yeah, I mean, you know, in my heart of hearts, I always felt, you know, I'd probably live here. I'm really sorry. I hear myself coming in and out because I'm turning my chair. So
That's
hopefully
fine.
for everyone who is listening, I'm going to take these off.
That's fine.
Is not getting the wind effect.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Of me moving. So first podcast, forgive me for
No, you're good. You're good.
Errors. So what did you ask me?
What made you stay? Like what made you settle down and have a family?
Yeah, I always knew I'd probably come back, but after graduating high school, I wanted to move to. There was an opportunity that came about for me to take a internship in Indianapolis, Indiana, and you know, growing up here, staying in the same town for college, you get that itch to get out and see. And really, I think it's healthy for everyone to do that for at least 1 year of your life, if not more, to just see. You learn a lot about yourself when you're not where people always know you. And what you find is you come with yourself, you know, because you're like, well, how are people going to accept me somewhere else? You know, are they going to treat me differently? Like, is it going to be a bad experience, a good experience? You know, and what you find is, you know, generally speaking, you know, people are going to treat you similar to the way they treat you here, you know, because generally you're the reason they respond the way they do around you.
Yeah.
You know, and so unfortunately, for better or worse, your problems follow you too, right?
Yeah.
So no, it was a great experience. Some of my best friends are down there. Unfortunately, they're the friends you don't talk to every now and then, but once you do, you're back where you left off.
Yeah.
It was a really wonderful people down in that community. So, yeah.
What pulled you back?
It's a long story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the long story? Do you want the funny story?
I like funny stories. Let's hear it.
Okay, well, forgive me because well, you'll understand. So, yeah, I graduated from college. I was given an opportunity to take this interim position at a really wonderful church down in Indianapolis. And so I went down there, had a great experience, and I actually, towards the end of it, wasn't sure what was going to happen. You know, they said, hey, we want you to stay at this church, but we don't have a full-time job right now. And I was dating my wife at the time back in Rochester here. So I was like, well...
Pre-FaceTime. You couldn't do FaceTime
Yeah, you
calls.
couldn't do I did long-distance dating, you know, for a while, just about 2 years with her, and it was not easy, because she was at college and I was at college for the first year. And then the second year, I was in Indy and she was at college, her last year of college. So, anyway, there was always this, well, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. My girlfriend is back in Minnesota, and it's time to start my career, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So anyway, they offered me a part-time job, which was enticing. But I really wanted a full-time position, and there were some kind of popping up that I was considering. But long story short, at the end of that time there, there was a trip that we took with the student body to Panama City, Florida. And while we were down there, I got appendicitis. And I didn't have health insurance at the time. And I also had no money at the time, just graduating from college. So it's really kind of intimidating. And so I'm down in Panama City, Florida, like not going to the hospital because we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what it was. We didn't, it was just really bad.
Yeah.
And the story actually gets really much more complicated than that. And so for another day, people listening to the podcast, if you want to hear it, maybe I'll share you the rest of the details. But in short, what ended up happening was I went in for emergency surgery in Panama City, got appendicitis, or was diagnosed with appendicitis. They took out my appendix. And then it's really weird after that. So I woke up in the hospital, of course, and the church decided to fly my mom down because it was at the end of the trip. So all the students and leaders went back.
Had to leave.
Oh, they left you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I was left down in Panama City, and they're like, "What do we do with this guy? We gotta
leave him behind.
We gotta get all these kids back to their parents. We can't stay here for this guy." So, and I'm like, "That's fine." So they flew my mom to the hospital, and then I recovered in the hospital. And
oh man.
Finally, I asked if I could leave because I was like, "I'd rather go home." And they're like, "We can't let you leave until you're better," because it had ruptured.
Oh.
So I was infected, and it was just
it
was really ugly. So I was in the hospital for about a week, just piling on medical bills and all that. But finally, he said, once your white blood cell count gets better, we'll let you go. And so my nephew was my oldest nephew, who just graduated, by the way, was like being born.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was due any day, and I wanted to get back, and it's just crazy. And kind of all the same stuff happened at the same time. But anyway, in short, I'll finally get there. I am horrible at stories. How much time do you have? You're right. No. My white blood cell got better. Walked on the beach with my mom for a day. Flew back to Rochester, and on the airplane, I got sick again.
Oh no!
Like really sick. And so I'm flying back, and I remember it was the longest flight of my life.
Oh man!
I felt like I was going to die. It was really bad.
Oh.
And then we went right to the ER after getting home, and stayed another half a week or week in the hospital here at Mayo. It was weird.
Wow.
Yeah, but the best part of so all that to say, while I was in the hospital bed, a friend of mine who was the admissions counselor and the director of admissions of Crossroads at that time came to my hospital bed with me and gowned and asked if I would consider taking the admissions counselor position at Crossroads.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was heavily drugged, and I took the position.
I think there's a law against that.
Yeah. It was like, yep, give me some more. I'll take it. So that's how I ended up in admissions at Crossroads, and it made sense. My family was here. My wife was here. I loved the college. I loved the people. So that's basically how I ended up. And it was really interesting because the day I wasn't finished down in Indianapolis. So I flew back to Indianapolis, and they called me in for an emergency meeting to say, we have a full-time job for you. We want you to stay. Mm. And so timing was just incredible because I would have taken that hadn't I already verbally committed to the other.
Yeah.
Because I loved it down there.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how things work out. And so I ended up staying and marrying Kristen, and 3 kids later, and here we are.
Yeah.
So
One thing that I know is unique about your real estate journey is you're into Airbnbs.
yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
I love it.
like at the core of our community is hospitality. So
Yeah.
curious about what your experience is.
Oh, I love it. It's been a great experience. And honestly, you nailed it on the head. Probably one of my favorite things about it is I feel like I'm providing a service and value to people, people who need it. I think of COVID here, and I know, I mean, I can kind of share some political experience because right now it's in the limelight of, do we want Airbnbs in this community? Is it
Right.
good for this community?
Right.
Should we tax them so high that they can't continue to do that? There's a lot of things happening with Airbnbs, and from my perspective as an Airbnb owner, we are a necessary piece of this economy working. And what I mean by that is taking COVID as a fine example. We're in a global pandemic, and they shut down elective surgeries, but there were still essential surgeries. And so almost all the people who stayed in our house. So when COVID hit, the governor said we're shutting down the state, all of my Airbnb bookings had canceled. So we had about 2 months solid gone. And so it's like, it's intimidating, when you're relying on that income to make it work. Not necessarily for myself and my finances, but to make the investment work. And what ended up happening was we lost all of our bookings, but we ended up getting one person who was here for Mayo to have surgery. And she wanted the confidence that it was her space only. And so, when we clean it very thoroughly, and we sanitize all touching surfaces, and so we were able to call and say, hey, I want to give you some peace of mind. This is something we already do. So you're stepping into a space. Yes, we had guests before, but the house has been fully sanitized, all touching surfaces. So for them, well, I'm here for a surgery in the midst of a global pandemic, and I don't have to worry about other people coming in my common space. Because when you're getting surgery, you're vulnerable. And not to mention, they had family coming too. So, they're able to stay in a house and have the comfort of it and feel like they're in a place where they can let their guard down and heal.
That can mean the absolute world.
Depending on who it is. Some people, love the hotel, atmosphere where it's like, I don't have to worry about my sheets. And generally we do that anyway. But, it is providing a value in this very unique community of Mayo Clinic. So we ended up losing 2 months solid of guests and ended up getting one guest who stayed for 3 weeks, which is great for everybody. And then we were able to turn it over, and then we had another guest who stayed for 2 weeks, and so it worked out fine for us. I don't know how all the other Airbnbs what their experience was during it, but I presume it was similar. Where they lost all their guests that had been booked, and then slowly got them back. So, and now we're full again. So, obviously there's a need where people want to do it. And for me, even though it adds one more thing on my plate, because I clean it myself with my wife and my kids, and we're starting to teach them responsibility. And hey, you go fill up the coffee, or you go, clean that table. Or things like that, maintaining the house. And it's called Bella Casa, which is my oldest daughter's name is Bella. And so they all know, like, maybe someday I'll have a Johnny Casa, my son.
Oh,
that's sweet.
I love that. That's really
like,
sweet.
Or, hopefully we'll continue to get them. But we love providing that service. Like, we actually enjoy that time, even though it's work. We like going together as a family, working together as a family, and just starting to teach some foundational, like, hey, you gotta learn to serve people and work with people and communicate with people, and we try to make a really good experience for people that they feel really safe and comfortable in our house. So
I think that's
really
really
fun
important.
I have a bunch of quirky little hobbies that I do, and that's all I know. I think back on it, and it's like I've always kept myself busy, and a lot of times people don't even know what those things are, but I'm doing like little things, and I'm kind of divided.
Yeah.
And what those things are. So
Yeah. Well, then you're never bored, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah.
I enjoy just that communication you have with someone that's coming into a community that you've known your entire life too, and then being able to
absolutely
guide them. And
oh yeah, I mean, I wish I got that more often, to be totally honest. But I spent a lot of time on the listing itself, kind of putting all my favorite restaurants and where to go, what to do. The platform just allows me to do that. But every now and then I'll have them before they get to town. Hey, we're gonna grab dinner. Where do you recommend I go? You know, or whatever. I mean, you and I, being natives, you know, we know this community like, you know, the back of our hands. You know, we know, go check out Assisi Heights. It's beautiful. Even though if you're not going to do anything, it's worth driving and seeing it. It's a majestic building. You know, actually, yeah, it's in the picture behind you there. But, you know, or whatever that might be. So that's fun. Bucky, I'm sure, has some really great stories. So we'll get to hear those someday.
I'm not into the short-term rentals. My stories were not good stories.
No, I mean
He looks at me like I'm. Don't ask me.
Don't want to know. I don't want to memory.
No, I mean about Rochester, growing up in Rochester.
yeah.
I'm sure you
Oh,
got a lot of great
Oh my God.
stories. I mean, if anyone who knows Bucky,
It's a lot of work.
you know,
You have a family
look
to
at my.
help.
it's a lot of work. Trust me, the family helps.
Yep.
Okay, there are times where one time we had the house fully cleaned. Okay, basically, we're getting ready to leave. And we generally are really good at just doing one final walkthrough, but this time we weren't. And I had the guest call right away. He's like, I think you have like a really big like rat problem or something. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, in the bathroom, there's toilet paper spread everywhere.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I think they thought like a rat maybe, I don't even know. You know, chewed on it and spread it out. Well, my daughter, of course, my 2-year-old, this is like, let's check this stuff out, you know, and
I'm gonna go get that rat right now.
yeah,
She's in her room.
I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
No,
I can catch her. Don't worry.
So no, it's honestly, it's really cool. I know. You know, this might be relevant in today's time and all the unrest, but, you know, people are generally good, you know, and I know, like, when we first got into this, it was really intimidating, like, oh, I'm going to be working with people I don't know, and this might be a really big headache, you know, but generally people are really good, and they're fair, and they just want a good night's rest, and obviously if you're doing your work on the front end and making it just spotless, it gives them a lot more peace of mind that,
Right.
you know,
I think it helps
they're going to respect the space more.
It helps we're in a medical community and not
Exactly.
Yeah.
where the spring breakers are going to find an
Yeah.
Airbnb.
It's
I
not like
can't
we're some big
imagine.
Thank you.
tourist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I had a rental place like that, it would be a very expensive rental just to cover all the damage that they're going to do.
Yep. No, people are coming here for help or coming here for work.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
So, yeah, people are generally kind, and if they're treated with respect, they'll treat you with respect too. So, yeah. So,
People of Rochester, episode number 2. We made it.
we made it. See, how long has it been?
It has been 40 minutes.
Excellent.
That's good.
Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it. And I think other people do too. We want to hear your stories, and we,
Yeah,
at least I do.
What a quirky mix of stories you got today. Yeah.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. And it's good to hear from somebody who not only grew up here, but continues to serve the community and in the way that you do. It's pretty awesome. So
And I think that some of the people that find this podcast are people that are coming to our community for the first time. So if you just had to leave the podcast, what were some things that you tell people coming to our community, just getting used to it for the first time? And
yeah, you know, I would say you're going to find that people here are very nice, very accommodating. We have excellent restaurants. You know, I mean,
we do.
Yeah, I mean, almost all the restaurants here are very good, and the owners are very committed to this community. and so let your guard down. Thursdays on First is one of my favorite events. Unfortunately, it shut down this year to COVID. But you just kind of get to see the pulse of the community. People are sneaking out from work at Mayo. Patients, are getting fresh air and coming down outside and walking the streets. And you see some interesting things on Thursdays on First. You got the people playing live music out of their guitar case and, whatever else. But, no, I would just say take advantage of what the community, tons of trails throughout the community, great restaurants, great people. So.
That's good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.